Hey guys, Ouija here and welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to give you guys something a little different than what you're used to on this channel. Normally I do Guardian stuff, but believe it or not, I do play other heroes. And Dromai is one of those. So I took Dromai to my road to nationals this past Sunday and got third place. I've been working on the list for about 2 weeks now, really putting a lot of hours into the deck, trying to make it as consistent as possible. I know when Uprising released, a lot of people wrote Dromai off, kind of saying that she's the worst Prism. They just didn't see it with her. She's just not good. I thought the opposite upon seeing her and her cards, and I really wanted to go out and prove that she can compete with the best decks. And I think I did that. I felt really comfortable, and I felt like the deck was really strong and performed really well against, you know, all the top decks, Priors, Viserais. So I just wanted to share my deck list and just talk about the cards and, you know, just go through it. So let's start with the hero, Dromai Ash Artist. Whenever you pitch a red card, you gain an Ash. The Ash is used to create the dragons. And whenever you play a red card, you gain Go Again. All your dragons gain Go Again. And your Storm of Sandakai, which is your weapon, is allowing your dragons to attack. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Arcanite Skullcap was the helmet I chose to go with. I know a lot of people are Crown truthers. I am not one of those. I think Crown is strong and allows you to have a flexible option in the helmet slot. I just found that Dromai really didn't care about filtering anything. If you're arsenaling a card, you probably want to keep that card. It's probably a 0-cost red, allowing you to turn your Go Again. And if you're filtering from your hand, there's just not really anything most of the time that you're going to draw that's going to change anything that you're doing. Arcanite Skullcap giving you that extra block value is just way better in my opinion. Flamescale Furnace, this chess piece is insane. I know some people are running Tunic. I don't understand why. Flamescale Furnace opens so many options, allowing you to get extra resources and pitch for extra Ash when you need it. And blocking for 3, which is just really good in the deck. Phantasmal Footsteps. I know people are going back and forth between Phantasmal Footsteps and the Stilettos or whatever. Don't see why you would ever run Stilettos over Phantasmal Footsteps personally. I think Phantasmal is just way too flexible. It gives you the extra block when you need it. It creates Ash when you need it. It gives you action points if they pop your illusionist attack actions. I just think the card's insane. I don't know why you would even consider Stilettos over this, but to each their own. For our gloves, we are running Silken Form. I really like this card before I was trying out Ironhide Gauntlet. I like that too, but I just think Silken was just more flexible. The Quell is extremely relevant, and you know, getting a free Ashwing after you Quell is just really good, especially against Arcane decks. It allows you to get the Ashwing as soon as possible. That way you have Arcane Barrier. All right, let's get into the main deck. We are playing 3 red Billowing Mirage. This card is just solid. It does not have Phantasm. It attacks for 3, blocks for 3, costs 1. So when you play it, if you pitch the red, it's going to make an Ash, and then it allows you to transform said Ash into an Ashwing, which is just really good value, solid card overall. Running 2 Command & Conquers in the main deck. I think Command & Conquer is just really strong against a lot of decks, against your Phys, your Viserais, your Briars. When you play it, you're most likely going to be pitching 2 red, so it also helps you generate Ash more quickly. Go into our Dunebreaker Senepais. It's just a solid card. It's just, you know, we're running the 3 red, 3 blue. The red attacks for 5, the blue attacks for 3. They cost 1, and they all block for 3. So this is really good. You know, Dunebreaker, I think it's just one of the best options for your blues because it blocks 3. And also if they decide to pop it for whatever reason, it will give you an Ash token. So in this deck, things like Dunebreaker, Senepai, like just normal attacks with Phantasm are really good because you can do things like, say you pitch a red, you play Dunebreaker, that generated you an Ash. And if for some reason your opponent pops it, it generates you another Ash. You can then pitch for Furnace, generating you 2 mana and another Ash. Use your Footsteps, gain your action point back, and then swing in with all your dragons anyways. Still having an extra mana to invoke something like Caloria or Yendurai. So it's just really good. It basically might as well not even say Phantasm. It's just a 1 for 5 because if your opponent pops it, it's just a bad move. For our dragons, we are running Invoke Asvali. It's just really solid. Attacks for 2 and 1 arcane. It has 3 health. Just really good value. It costs 0, turns on your go agains. It's just a really solid dragon, especially in the late game. I honestly try to save these for the late game. That arcane damage, most people aren't going to be packing any null rune against you. So invoking Asvali in the late game, just guaranteeing arcane damage, is just really solid. It honestly closed out some games for me. So yeah, 3 of those. Invoke Chromae, another insane dragon, costs 0. Attacks for 3, and it gains you an action point when you attack or if it leaves the arena. So if they pop it, you gain the action. Either way, it's just really, really good. Helps you not just lose your turn to a phantasm popper. So you use it, you generate the action, they pop it, you can still keep going. Caloria, one of the best dragons that we have. It costs 1, attacks for 4, and threatens to steal an item. If there's no items to steal, you draw a card on hit. So Caloria is just insane. It demands a block. It's going to demand a 3 block and an armor, 2 cards, or something like a sink below. It's just really good. Puts a lot of pressure on the opponent. Invoke Dominia. Honestly, probably the best dragon, like in terms of what it does and for how much it costs. It's absolutely insane. It's a 4/4. It costs 4 mana or 4 resources. When you attack, you're able to look at your opponent's hand. If you flip it, well, you attack, you're attacking for 4, you flip the top card of your deck. If it's a red, you look at your opponent's hand and you banish a card from it, any card, which is absolutely insane. You can banish the popper, you can banish Channel Mount Heroics, you can just banish any good card from their hand, and it's something that they're gonna have to deal with. Now, honestly, the overperforming dragon on the day was Invoke Tumulti, which I didn't expect, but this dragon got me 4 pieces of equipment. It allowed me to kill a Spellbound Creepers, a Grasp of the Arknight, a Crown of Providence, and I can't remember the other one. I believe it might have been a Tunic, but it just did work, and the opponents, they just didn't have anything to deal with it at the time. Because it has 5 health, it's quite tanky. It was just insane. So Invoke Tumulti, absolutely insane. It demands your opponent to answer it when it's played. So Invoke Mirror Guy. Invoke Mirror Guy, really, really good dragon. Costs 1, attacks for 2, has 4 health. Just really good, synergizes very well with your other dragons like Caloria and Chromae, allowing you to, if you have Mirror Guy, Chromae, Caloria, you would swing with Chromae, no Phantasm, gain an action. So now you have 2 actions. You can swing with Caloria, or you can swing with all your baby dragons. They don't want to pop those because you have all these other dragons on board, and you still have the extra action point. So they're going to take the chip damage. You're going to swing with Caloria, threaten the draw card. It's just, there's so many things that you can do with this combo in terms of sequencing and how just making it awkward for your opponent. Oasis Respite, we're running 3 of these in red. This card, really, really good. Not only does it generate you the ash whenever you pitch a red to play it, it's an instant, so it gets over, helps you with things like dominated attacks, prevents an X4, and if you're lower life, you gain a health. So it's just so much value. Fully stopping like Rosetta swings and gaining you the health if you're lower. We are running a 1 of Phantasmaclasm. This is something that I tested early on, and it really also overperformed. I've played Phantasmaclasm probably like 70% of my games. It's just a big attack. It disrupts their hand. It's just a really good. I really like it as a 1 of. You play it at the end of the chain after they take all the dragon attacks. They want to hold their hand. They think they have a big turn. You disrupt the turn. It's just really solid. The other dragon we're playing is Invoke Yendurai. Costs 1, attacks for 3, and has an endurance counter, which when it's attacked, it'll prevent 3 of the damage. So it's just a really sticky dragon. It's really annoying to deal with if your opponent can't just kill it in one attack. They have to throw multiple attacks into it. And oftentimes they just kind of ignore it, and it just generates a ton of value over the course of the game. So invoke Yandere, really good. 3 of Ravenous Rabble, a really good card in this deck. Turns on your go again, cost 0. It doesn't have Phantasm, so it's guaranteeing, you know, they can't pop it. Something that they have to deal with. They're most likely going to take the damage because they just don't want to waste blocks on things like this. They rather save it for, you know, your Calorias and things like that. So Ravenous Rabble, just an insanely good card in the deck. Rake the Embers. We are playing 3 in red. This card also really good, especially on turn 1, just generating you 3 Ash Wings. So the play with this card, if you have a Rake, you will pitch a red, play the Rake the Embers, you generate 1 Ash from pitching, you hold priority on the Rake, you then pitch for Furnace because you've played a red card, you generate another Ash for pitching for Furnace, generate 2 mana, so now you have 2 Ash, 2 mana. You let Rake resolve. You let Rake generate the Ash on its own. So now you have 3 Ash. You generate 3 Ash Wings from transforming all the 3 Ashes. So this card, turn 1, is just, it's really what you want to see. But even just in the middle of the game, it's just really, really good. So yeah, this card's insane. I only like it in red. I don't really care for it in the other colors because it blocks 2. But yeah, red Rake the Ember is insane. We are playing 3 Sink Blows. It just helps you defend attacks when you need to. It's just a solid card in the deck, you know, kind of biding your time until you're able to summon a massive amount of dragons on a turn. We are running 3 Skittering Sands. This card is really good. It costs 0, turns on your go again. It helps you transform your Ash into Ash Wings, and it buffs your first Ash Wing attack by 3, so you'll be coming in for 4. It's just a solid card. The only downside of it is that it blocks 2, but it just generates a lot of value. 3 of Sigil of Solace. This card in Dromai is just absolutely insane. Especially because we're not running that many blues. We're running 10 blues in the deck. So Dromai is naturally weak to arcane damage. Sigil of Solace helps buffer that, allowing you to heal up over the course of a game and turn on your go again. So Sigil of Solace, 3 of, just really, really good in the deck. You're running 6 Sweeping Blows, 3 red, 3 blue. Sweeping Blow is just a solid card. Even playing it at blue, even if it does 1 damage, it helps you generate Ash when you need it. You pitch red. If you play the blue, you generate an Ash from pitching, generate 1 from attacking, and then the red is just that much better. It just attacks for 3. It's just an Ash generator. That 3 block is very important in the deck, so I try to get as many of those in here as possible. Spears of Serenity, also really good, but I don't know. This card is interesting. I really liked it. It's just that in all my matchups on the day, I decided Spears out in favor of other things. But it's still a really just solid card. I mean, it like I said earlier with the Dunebreaker Centipies, it might as well not say Phantasm, because if they pop this, then you know you're gonna get your action point back from Footsteps. And you can activate Furnace, generate free mana, and just, you know, keep going. So it's basically just a 1 for 5, which is just really solid. I just ended up siding it out in a lot of matchups on the day. We are running 2 Passing Mirage. This card is just, it's a blue that's playable. It is really good. A lot of times when you get this card out at the end of a chain or the end of your turn, your opponent a lot of times just doesn't respect it, and it generates a lot of value over the course of a game. If they do kill it, you know, they're sinking damage into it, which is fine. You know, we're not playing Prism, so people tend to kind of ignore it and underestimate the card. We are running 2 Time Snap Potions. I know a lot of people are running Energy Pots, and I think that they are interchangeable. I think you can run either one, and it's perfectly fine. My thought process with Time Snap is just you play it at the end of a chain, kind of like a Passing Mirage in a way. And whenever you say you have, you know, a ton of Ash Wings or you summon a lot of dragons, you can pop Time Snap Potion, gain 2 actions, and pretty much guarantee that your opponent is not going to be able to stop your turn. You know, you're basically forcing them to pop 2 dragons. If they're doing that, you're perfectly fine with that, because now they're going into their turn with 2 less cards, and you're probably I'm gonna just summon a bunch more the next turn. So it's just really solid in my opinion. I prefer it over energy potions, but if you play energy potions, you know, I understand why. Those are also good. I just like, you know, when it comes down to the end game, your opponent might be, you know, going down to 1 health, holding their hand because they think they can kill you next turn. Time Snap is just basically allowing you to have a full turn of attacks. So it's just really good in that regard. Let's go to our sideboard. So our sideboard here, we are running 3 Alrena's Prayers. This card is specifically for Viserai. Viserai can be a tough matchup because of all the arcane damage that comes in after he attacks your dragons. Alrena's Prayer is honestly just really good in that matchup. It costs 1, it generates you the Ash. You reveal the top card of your deck. You prevent X arcane damage that would be dealt, where X is -6. I mean, we run 10 blues. You're most likely going to flip a red. And the great thing about this card is that it's not all from one source. So if they have 5 rune chants, this is going to prevent the next 5 arcane damage if you flip the red that would be dealt to you. It's not all from one source. So it really helps you get over the lack of blues and just save you a ton of health on their revel turns, which is just, I mean, it's just really, really good. So Arena's Prayer into Viserai. When siding in, I took out the spears for Arena's Prayer, so that's what that was for. And pretty much the rest of the sideboard, like Fendel's Fighting Spirit, was for Prism, allowing you to pop her stuff and gaining health if you are lower health, which is just great value. So that's what the Fighting Spirits are for. Invoke the Mize, also for Prism, basically denying her the ability to play auras or defense reactions on your turn. It's just really, really good. You know, she can't do no cheeky, merciful things on your turn, and you know, you take a bunch of arcane damage, things like that. No soul shields, which is also really good. So invoke the Mai for Prism. Lead the Charge. I threw one of in here also for Prism, just to, you know, help you clear auras. 2 Erase Faces. This card did a lot of work. It's just a solid card. You know, really good into Prism, really good into Fi, decent into Guardians, really good into Dash, just things like that. It's just a solid card. And then we have the 3 Thaws, also are just for Prism and Icelander. You know, just more poppers in the matchup and just really good against Icelander. You're really good against Icelander, but this basically just kind of solidifies like you're not gonna lose an Icelander. It allows you to destroy the Frost Hexes, Frostbite. It's just really good into that matchup. So yeah, this was the deck. I went 4-1 in Swiss, you know, winning in top 8 and then losing in top 4. But I am extremely satisfied with how the deck played on the day. It felt really smooth. I think I'm not going to say it's like perfect or anything. I still think there's a lot of things that you can do, which I will be testing more of. But where it is right now, I do think that this is kind of where you want to be with the deck. I think it does everything really well. I think it has a 50-50 into pretty much everything. Like, honestly, it's just getting reps with the deck and knowing your matchups. But yeah, I'm extremely happy with how it performed. So I'll just go over some of the matchups I played. Round 1, I played against Levia, won against that. Round 2, played against Briar, beat that. Round 3, played against a Boost Dash, beat that. Round 4, played against a Viserai, won against that. And then round 5, I played against the Fi. You know, I've been working on the deck for 2 weeks, but one of the matchups I just wasn't able to get any testing in was against Fi. And I really think that hurt me in the long run, but it was still a close game. I think he ended the game at like 5 health or something like that. I think if I just got more reps against that deck, it'll be fine. But nonetheless, it was a good game. So we go to top 8. I beat the Viserai that I beat earlier in the day. Really close game. I was at 2 health. And that was without using any Alrena's prayers. I just didn't draw them, but we were still able to get there. If I were to draw Alrena's prayers in that match, it would have been 10 times easier, but still good. And then in top 4, played against a Dorinthia. Lost against Dorinthia. I had 0 practice with Dromai into Dorinthia, so it was very difficult to adjust on the fly. But again, nonetheless, it was still a very close game. Dorinthia, I believe, ended the game with 3 health. You know, they got the game. That was a very good game, very interesting game. So next time I play against that, probably just throw more generic attacks at her, like Erase Face, your CMCs, maybe even Fendel's Fighting Spirit, because she's just able to farm your dragons and just stack her Dawnblade, which is absolutely insane. I think he ended the game with like 9 counters, which is crazy. But even with 9 counters, it was surprising how well I was able to just stay alive and make the game as close as it was. So I think with just a little more reps into that deck, it'll be fine. It's, you know, it's not terrible. But yeah, that was, you know, all my matchups. That's how the day went. I do plan to do a more in-depth guide against each matchups and just explaining play patterns and things like that, because like I was talking about in the beginning, I think a lot of people are just writing Dromai off. But I do think once lists get more refined, people are going to see her power, and she's going to be a force to be reckoned with. So yeah, that's all I have for you. If you liked the video, give it a like, comment below, subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you, and I'll see you next time.